at how we might work with Flask parameters from the web page, and it was more demonstration. This time we're going to get into an example where we have a basic calculator. It's going to have some simple arithmetic operations, and we're going to show how that's going to be used to retrieve some content from the user and actually show a result. So we're going to go into our GitHub code here, GAE web dev, and then we're going to go into step 4. And here we're going to have now just a README file, so we could take a look at that more, README. And yeah, it's just an example that shows a simple calculator, so nothing too complicated there. We'll go into our project directory now, and here we have an app YAML, we have a main py, we have a requirements.txt. In fact, we don't even have any static files here, so if we look at our app YAML file, you can see it's just got the Python script, and we can take a look at our, we can edit our main Python, so a little bit easier to see it in this interface. So here we have our Flask application, we have our operators, so plus, minus, times, divided by, to the power of. So we're going to have five operators here, and our main content is just going to be this long HTML string. So here we go, just a title, a header, a section with our form. We're going to have some operands. We're going to have a submit, and here we're going to here's a little bit of code that's going to retrieve our select. So this is just going to take these operators here and build a bit of HTML for our select out of it. So you can see here, just going to take this and then keep appending all of the different operator options. And our main page is just going to show us the main content with a select and then nothing else. So this main content has this %s here and this %s here. This is where we're going to insert our operators. And then here you can see this is where we're actually doing the calculation. So we're going to retrieve argument 1, we're going to retrieve argument 2 or operand 2, we're going to retrieve the operator, and then here we're going to try. Here we actually have to convert them to a float because again, there are lots of ways for users to sneak content into our server that are not using our originating web page. So they could just submit these directly to the URL. So we're going to check to see if these are float, and if they're not, we're actually getting an exception. So we could probably be a little bit more specific about this. We could actually say what kind of exception we're catching and what exception we're handling. But we're just going to say anything that goes wrong, we're just going to bomb out and say an error occurred. So what we're doing here is we're going to compute that response and then make up this text string that's going to include it. So, if we have any of these operators, we're going to produce that text string, based on those. In fact, we probably could do each one of these, if we had any of these, we could probably stop duplicating this code. You can see it's kind of in here 5 times, but we do want to make sure that we have an operator that we do support. So yeah, this should operate. So we have our minus, our plus, our times, our divided by, and our power. So we can go ahead and start this up. Let's go back to our terminal. We're going to run the dev app server here, and we're going to, if you just type dev app server, it's actually going to give you an error, say you can't do it that way. So we're going to do dev app server app.yaml and run that. And that's going to take just a moment to start up. And once that's ready, we can preview that, and you can see here's our calculator. We can enter a value, 6 minus 3 equals 3. There we go. And since we're using this as a GET request, if we go back to our code, if we open that editor, we can see that our form is going to be a GET. We can actually manipulate these values right in the URL. So we could say like 70 times 4. And hit enter, and there you go. You can modify, you can hit that and change that. So one thing that's interesting is that we can do all of these different calculations, but we can't actually enter anything that's not a number. So if we want to change that in the URL, we can do that easily. Operand 1 can be something not a number. And you can see here that's going to give us our error. So our error will occur there. So again, you always want to be kind of defensive on the server to make sure that the inputs that you're getting are the proper inputs. Otherwise, you might run into these kinds of errors. But otherwise, this should be operational. You should be able to use this as a simple example, and it's kind of self-contained in this one main page or main Python file. So a little bit easier to understand, and in a straightforward example of something that might actually be useful. All of this is actually happening on the server, so it is possible that you could build the same kind of thing with client only, but we're trying to explore some of these server functions and server capabilities. So this will allow you to build a really simple calculator using Flask parameters in Python and on App Engine. In our next video, we should be getting a little bit more into some ways to simplify the code that we're going to present to the user. Some easier ways to work with HTML called templates. But for now, thank you for watching.